It. That's all there is to it. And like I said, it's not a guarantee, but this is the method that I feel is the closest to 100% that I've gotten so far. It's pretty dang accurate, and I'll do it again real fast here so you can get another look at it, but it's pretty darn close to 100%. I mean, if I had to say an exact number, I would probably put it somewhere around like 94, 95% chance of success. So let's do it again real quick here. So there's a statue in again. The only thing you gotta be worried about is sometimes the way the map will load in, it'll sometimes drop the statue like halfway into the ground. That can be pretty messed up. You're kind of screwed when that happens. But I mean, if the statue's in place, then you can use this method. That's pretty much the idea. I wouldn't ever just, rely on this 100% of the time. Like, try to get enough damage on your own. But it is nice to have this tactic as like a backup plan in case you don't have enough damage. So again, we're just drawing aggro. He's already coming, and I start running. If he attacks you here, it's nothing to panic about because you're so far away. You can usually dodge him pretty easily. Run back over here. Again, we set up for the kick. Got my mouse up high. I'm looking left. Wait for him to go over me, and I kick. And there we go. He's down again. Now here is the problem with this method. So there are 3 Steves that you can kill. On that third Steve that you kill, or Stevari, I always call him Steve. That third Stevari kill, well, now you got big problems on your hands because you got to fight Big Steve, Scud, whatever you want to call him. He's quite dangerous, and I do not have a method to easy kill him like I do Steve. So I mean, this is where teaching people this method is a little scary because I feel like people no longer feel like they would need to rely on building a good wand. They think, oh, I'll just use a statue every time. Well, whenever, Big Steve here shows up, you got other things to worry about. I do not have a statue kick to kill Big Steve. At this point, you just need to have damage and, just pray you get through that shield. The other method is simply to help you get through, the little Steve, and if you're hard on you're having hard times on getting the resources to build a good wand. But hopefully those tactics I taught you can stall long enough that you can get the Steve kill. But good luck with Big Steve, guys. You're on your own on that one. Build something nice. Deuces, y'all. Alright, what's up YouTube? How's it going? Today's video is going to be a pretty basic one. It's a simple breakdown of how spell wrapping works in Noita, and this is a mechanic that you will use pretty much forever in Noita. It doesn't mean you have to use it, but it is almost always useful. I use it every single run I do in Noita, and it can really create some crazy wands. So let me break this down for you from the very basics to building a more advanced wand. But this is something that you can be using from this point forward. If you learn this mechanic, you'll probably use it in all your future runs. So here we go. Spell wrapping. How it works. We're gonna put down a spark bolt and a spitter bolt so you can get an idea of how the basics of a wand work. So I have covered this a little bit in past videos, but I want to make sure we just get a good foundation here before I get too crazy with it. So I'm gonna fire a spark bolt and a spitter bolt here because this is a non-shuffle wand. Pretty much all wand crafting is done with non-shuffle wands. Shuffle wands in general, pretty much garbage. So we're gonna fire this off, spark bolt, spitter bolt. They fire pretty predictably, right? First shot, second shot. Now, if we move these over and we fire them as a group, it means both of these are firing at the same time, right? We shoot them as two. If I was to put another double right here, there is nothing to grab here for this double. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a double. You could put triple, you could put any kind of modifier. Light's a modifier. There's nothing here though for it. So what's gonna happen is it's going to spell wrap. And by spell wrapping, all it's gonna do is it's gonna say, okay, it needs a spell here. It'll reach to the front of the wand and grab this and place it here. Well, this is a double. Well, the double says, well, what's here? Nothing's here. It's going to reach here, and it's going to grab the spark bolts, and it's a double, so it's two spells. Reach here and grab there. That is spell wrapping, and I'll actually show it taking place here on the board. Right here, you can watch it taking place. You see that, how it shoots real fast? Because the wand that's how fast the stats are on this wand. In fact, we can kind of slow it down on this one right here. You'll see it a little more noticeably. I can slow it down on purpose by just clicking, but if I hold it down, yeah, that's because this wand has a little bit of Castellet on it, 0.07. So that's how you would decide on whenever you want when you want to Castellet is because, or when you want to spell wrap is because the Castellet is very low, but the recharge is a high number. So by putting something here, any kind of modifier, doesn't have to be light, like I said, it could be whatever. You're saying, I want to spell wrap because the cast delay is low. So I want the wand to think it has more spells on it to delay the recharge time. Because once it reaches the end and there are no more spells, it has to hit the recharge time and it has to reset the wand entirely. Hopefully this is making sense so far. This is pretty bare bones. This is the basics. I hope I haven't lost you there, but it's gonna get a little more crazy, and you're gonna see why it's such a powerful mechanic. So we're gonna go back to the zero Castellet wand just because it makes it easier for people to calculate. But just know that on wands like this, where it says 0.07 Castellet, you add that to each individual spell whenever it is cast, or each individual clump, I should say. So what I mean by that is this is a spark bolt by itself, one spell. It has a, if you look at it, you read the Castellet, it says 0.05 Castellet. You add that to the current Castellet, which says 0.07, and that means combined, that will be a 0.12 Castellet before moving from this spell to the spell next to it. That's going to be a 0.02 Castellet. Then, once it reaches the next spell, I'll throw a couple things on there so you can kind of, break this down. Then, it hits the Spitter Bolt. Spitter Bolt has a 0.02 Castellet, so that's a negative one. It's a good thing. And then this one has a Castellet. Like I said, the basic wand is 0.07. So you do the math there, and that should be a 0.05 Castellet. So 0.05 seconds from here to here. So again, this one was a 0.12 from here to here, 0.05 from here to here. And then Triplicate Bolt is a 0.13 Castellet added on top of the 0.07. So that would be a 0.2 Castellet from here to here. Once it reaches this final spell, it'll cast this Spark Bolt, and then it will look at the recharge time since it's the largest number, and it'll reset from here to here. Will take 0.83 seconds. So you can see it all taking place here on the board. You'll probably notice that the slowest one of the group is the Triplicate Bolt. It's the one that hangs up on the longest, which is still very fast. It was a 0.2, so 0.2 seconds to move from here to here. So that's still, a fraction of a second. All right, so I had to break that down for a moment so that you will understand some of the spell wrapping we're about to do here and why we're doing it. So let's say we tried to build some kind of trigger wand right here on this one. So we put down, I don't know, what's a normal trigger wand to a lot of you guys. So you would put down like a triple spell after the trigger. You throw on 3 spells. Okay, so you can shoot it. It's casting off spells. Pretty cool. Does decent damage. But obviously this isn't gonna this is not like a late game wand. This isn't gonna carry you into the ultra late game. But what you need to focus on first is taking that recharge time down pretty low. And we don't have that many spells on us right now that have a negative recharge time. In fact, the only ones that I have, I think, are these two right here. So we have a Digging Bolt that removes 0.17 seconds of recharge time, and a Digging Blast that also removes 0.17 seconds of recharge time. Both of them do add a slight bit of cast delay, but since we're putting them inside of a trigger, like I showed in one of my past videos, if you put something that adds or subtracts cast delay inside of a trigger, which all of these, because of this triple, they are all packed inside of this trigger, cast delay added or subtracted does not matter. But what does matter is the recharge time being removed from these two does get added onto the wand. So right now, if we look at the wand, cast delay is 0, but the spark trigger does add 0.05, so that means the cast delay is 0.05. And then the recharge time, though, is 0.83 minus 0.34. So what is that, 0.49? Sorry for my quick math here. I do some terrible quick math, so don't be surprised my numbers are off. Don't take it as 100%, but I'll just get it in the general area. You can crunch the numbers yourself, but you'll get the idea of where I'm going with this here. So right now we have sped up our wand a little bit. The cast delay doesn't matter because, again, the larger number is going to be the recharge. So by adding both of these here, so we'll compare them. I'll show you both of these on here. We shot it, fires like this. And then we move these on there instead and fire it. You'll notice it's slightly faster. It's not a huge increase, but again, these two combined, they removed 0.34 seconds from that recharge time. These are two of our biggest spells that remove recharge. However, we do have another one, the Heavy Spread, removes 0.25. So let's go ahead, let's put the Heavy Spread into this group. So this Heavy Spread is going to remove 0.25. Again, the subtracted cast delay, it doesn't matter because it's inside of a trigger. So we're just looking at the removal of recharge time. Now, whenever we shoot it, it's pretty fast. And for the most part, when I do a lot of my wand building, this is kind of as far as I go. Because these are really clear and easy to see. But if you want to get advanced with it and you want to see how far spell wrapping can really take a wand, I'll show you, because I see people all the time. This is pretty much as advanced as their wand gets, but they can actually build a in-game wand with the materials that you see right here. You can build a powerhouse. So what you would need to do is first you would need to see that your issue here is that you're just not able to remove all of the recharge time. It's just with what we have this setup right now, it just doesn't remove all the recharge time. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put this Heavy Spread at the front and put, let's say we put this Digging Bolt here. So right now, this Heavy Spread is attached to this Digging Bolt, and it's removing 0.25 recharge, and it's even removing cast delay too, since it's not inside of a trigger anymore, right? These two are on their own. This is a spell modifier attached to this Digging Bolt. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to place the Spark Bolt after it. What is going to happen is this is going to wrap, because again, a trigger, this spell trigger, just like a modifier or anything, it's going to look for it needs to grab a spell. There's no spell here, so it's going to grab the Heavy Spread. Well, the Heavy Spread is a modifier. It's going to look for a spell to modify. It's going to grab the Digging Bolt. It's going to wrap it. So we're actually going to be getting these twice on our wand. So let's look at this. See the speed now that we're getting out of it? It's actually casting so fast you can barely even see it, because it's like every frame it's like jumping back and forth. Look how much speed we've gained just by doing some very basic spell wrapping. Like, this isn't anything ultra advanced. This is very baby stuff. But we're gonna build a monster with this wand. So let's go ahead and say, okay, we have it casting pretty fast, but obviously our damage is nothing to be impressed with. This isn't gonna blow your mind. So I want this Triplicate Bolt into this group somehow. So what we could do is we'll put down like a double here, yeah? Then we'll put down the Triplicate Bolt, perfect. And then we are missing a spell here because the double, so this will wrap and still grab. So that is looking pretty nice. So let's fire that off. Looking pretty good now. We are going to have mana issues now with this this current wand. So what we could do is we could add in an add mana right here, and we put it inside the trigger. It doesn't matter. You can place it here, here, whatever, or even here. It's still fine. But it's something that adds cast delay. So if we put it on the outside right here, it would slow down our wand just a little bit, just a little bit. But by putting it inside the trigger, We still get the speed, and we get the mana issues are pretty much gone. Looking pretty good, right? We can take this even further, but you know what? Before I get too advanced, this wand right here, I just spawned it in. Kind of a monster wand. You know, I feel like a lot of you, even without knowing spell wrapping, you could probably make a pretty good wand to make it through the level. So let's go ahead and take a wand this is a more normal wand. The stats, it still has the same recharge time, but I added a little bit of cast delay. I brought those stats down for the mana max and the charge speed and the capacity down quite a bit, because a wand like this is not unheard of to find in the beginning levels. Maybe not level 1, level 2 a little bit, but snowy depths and all those, you start to see even fungal caverns, which is in the second area. You could see something like this. I mean, you can't see it in the first level. It would just be very rare. It would have to drop out of like a chest or something. So let's go ahead and move on to this wand right here. We're gonna do away with our current main wand because it's like easy mode stats, right? So now let's get back to where we're going. Let's see what our issues are here before I go getting too advanced. Let's see. It still fires pretty nicely. If you're curious, the cast delay from this spell group to moving from this dig bolt to this right here, it's going to be 0.02 cast delay plus 0.07, so 0.09, but then the heavy spread removes 0.12. So it's moving from here to here instantaneously. However, the spark bolt trigger has 0.05 cast delay added to the 0.07, so that's going to be a 0.12 cast delay from firing off here to, well, I guess it is reaching the end of the wand, so it is going to be going by recharge time. However, whenever we're spell wrapping here, let's see, we're bringing these around, so that would mean that the recharge time that we are removing is actually all of the, is it all of the wand? Let's see, 0.25. So here and here, that's gonna be mean we're doubling up on the heavy spread. So that's a 0.5 reduction from the recharge time, and then this digging bolt is negative 0.17, which we're casting here and here. So that is 0.34. So yeah, that should, our recharge is gonna be 0. Whenever we're spell wrapping here and here, that our recharge time is going to be 0. So that means the only thing slowing down this wand currently is the cast delay that we're getting from the spark bolt trigger and the cast delay on the wand. So what we could do is actually move these over, and this is an interesting use of the glimmer spells. This glimmer spells remove cast delay. Look at them. This one says removes 0.13. There are a lot of spells in the game that remove cast delay. There are a couple that remove recharge as well, but there are tons that remove cast delay. I mean, look at this is an example of one. Horizontal Path removes 0.10 cast delay. I mean, people don't think of it, but these random spells, I mean, Bubble removes 0.08. There's many spells that can remove cast delay. You just got to get creative with them. So by putting the glimmer here attached to the spark bolt with the trigger, let's see, it was 0.05 plus 0.07. So, hey, that's like exactly what we were needing, right? We're actually getting a little bit extra. What was it? 0.07, so 0.12 cast delay. And, yeah, so perfect. Perfect. Okay, so we shoot it now. Look at it. It's a laser. It's a laser. But we bring out another problem now. Look, if you look at our mana here, we're actually blowing through our mana because it's going so fast. Now, you could get by with a wand like this, no problem. But we're trying to do, I'm trying to show you like overkill, crazy strong wands with pretty minimal resources, right? So let's take this a step further. But again, that's that. I mean, you can get by just fine on that. You could fire at this right here. You'll see it gets some pretty good damage. You know, we get into the hundreds at least, which is pretty good. All right, so what we're gonna do, if we're shooting this wand, I'd say our issue, like I said, is mana. That makes it where we can't just hold it forever, infinitely. We can't just be truly brainless. So what we need to do, if you want to keep the triplicate on there, is we got to recognize that this add mana has to be moved to the outside. Because we know that because we need to cast the add mana twice. And if this add mana is inside the trigger here, there's no way to cast this add mana 2 times, given what we have. It just can't be done. So what we'll have to do is we have to move it to the outside, to the dig bolt. But this introduces a new problem. The add mana adds 0.17 cast delay. We weren't having to worry about that cast delay when it was inside of the trigger here, right? But now that we put it to the outside, we are going to have issues with it. So let's do some math here. We have the heavy spread, that's reducing 0.12. we have the add mana that's adding 0.17. So those two combined make it where that we have a added cast delay of 0.05, right? Negative 0.12 plus 0.17, so that remains 0.05. Then the dig bolt itself is removing it's adding 0.02. So that would be 0.07 cast delay total from this clump, plus the wand itself has 0.07 cast delay. So let's see what we can do here. We could move this over and we could add, we have another glimmer right here that we could add to this group. It doesn't matter where you put it as long as it's attached to the spell. By doing that, so if we fire this right now, it's not terrible, but again, that cast delay, that 0.07 that remains from this clump added to the cast delay, that 0.14, that's what's slowing us down. So by putting this here, we have like, what was that, 0.01 remaining or something? So that's nothing. A fraction of a 0.01 seconds, that's nothing. So we're back to having a laser, and it does not run out of mana at all. This is a pretty damn strong wand. Another option here, instead of adding the glimmer here, instead of removing the 0.13, you could instead use this horizontal path. That will remove 0.1. This leaves the remaining 0.04 seconds, which is still a little bit of something. But what's interesting about adding this horizontal path is that this horizontal path will add 8 damage to this dig bolt, plus it will add 8 damage to this triplicate, because you got to remember that this group is being spell wrapped to, right? So whenever you look at this board here, watch this. See on the board, the horizontals right here. As long as it's cast in the same group as this like clump of spells, that 8 damage will add to everything in the group. It's hard to get to, sorry. It's so frame perfect. It casts so fast. Oh, come on, man. There we go. So that means by putting this horizontal path there, we're adding 8 damage to each of the 3 bullets right here, which would mean 24 additional damage for 0 mana. So without it, whenever we fight it with this, we shoot with the orange glimmer. We'll fire at this right here, and you'll see that we get, I don't know, like the 300, 400 damage. Instead, we swap it out, slowing down our wand a little bit, you know. We're losing that 0.03. So this one's cast delay was negative 0.3, this one's 0.10. However, we added a significant amount of damage, so we spam it now. We get it up to like 600, 500 to 600. Oh, there's a 700 there as well. So that's how you make these small efficiency moves using spell wrapping. And one last thing I do want to point out that maybe somebody got confused about there, and I'll show it on. I'll show it with this triple right here. Let's say I put a triple down, and I put on a triplicate bolt. I put down a spark bolt, and then I put down a horizontal, and then I put down a bubble. This horizontal will apply to everything, even the things that are behind it, because of this triple, it makes it where all of these are one clump. So when I shoot it, you'll notice that they all have the horizontal effect. Now, you do not want to put the horizontal on a group like this when that's all you have. If you're firing at enemies with something like this, you're never going to do crap. But if you put down a spark trigger, that makes it good, because this whole group, it doesn't matter that they fly a little awkwardly now, because the horizontal path, I mean, it's like a shotgun. If you had a shotgun and you put it right up against a target, and somebody told you, oh, that gun has like terrible aim, you're like, I think I'm gonna hit the target, right? Because you're pressed up against it. Same idea with a spark trigger. If you're shooting at an enemy, I mean, you're hitting them right in the face, so it doesn't matter that the payload has an awkward flight path. It's still going to deliver most of its damage. I used to think that it was not worth it, because I would see the shots kind of fly off like that when I shoot at an enemy, but after doing like thorough testing and all that, even though you'll see some stray bullets sometimes flying to the side, it's 100% worth it to have these horizontals in these payloads, because it's just the additional damage is nice, and sometimes hitboxes are just awkward, and regardless of the path, you know, they'll miss regardless of the path. So might as well have something that adds damage if you're gonna miss anyways. All right, so that I was pointing out that the fact that the wand was wrapping to a horizontal, and I started thinking, well, somebody may get confused, thinking, well, how's the wrapped horizontal casting to the triplicate bolt that's behind it? So I needed to make sure that you understood that by having it here at any point in the group, it will apply it to everything. Now, if you had it after the group, if I put it here, Then it'll go 1, 2, 3. This group will cast right here. None of them will have this horizontal in it. What will happen is this is separate from the group now because this triple is finished. Like this is one clump. What will happen is this horizontal will look for a spell to add, and it will grab the spark bolt and add it here, and then this will wrap to here, and then the whole thing will wrap. But what will happen is this wrapped to spark bolt with trigger will fly very awkwardly, and the rest of the group will not have the horizontal in it. So I'll show you that on the board in case you're curious. So first shot, second shot. You see that? First shot, second shot. So that's wand spell wrapping. I don't know the best way to word that, but hopefully you get where I'm going with this. I'm sorry I don't show like more advanced builds with it. It's just there's so many to cover. There's so many builds to cover. There's so many spells to cover. If you look at the progress bar, I mean, you can just hover over random spells, and you'll notice they'll have like cast delay removal and stuff. Like look, Spiral Arc removes 0.10 cast delay. Remove Explosion removes 0.25 seconds cast delay. Nala removes 0.25, and these cost like this one costs 1 mana. Remove Explosion costs 0 mana. So with certain builds, I mean, like maybe on a Nala, with a Nala it like sets the projectiles to 0. So maybe you wouldn't want to use that if you're shooting like a massive payload of spells. But maybe on like Remove Explosion, that's a common one. Like somebody was linking me just the other day, where you could use that on the spark trigger itself, because the spark trigger, you don't care. You don't care that if the spark trigger doesn't have some explosion or whatever. It's all about the payload that it's delivering. So you could use that Remove Explosion to try to speed up the cast delay of the spark bolt trigger if it was necessary, depending on the stats of the wand. And again, you could also use light, whatever, to wrap. That also works. But yeah, I don't want to rant for too long. It's already been over 20 minutes. Feel free to post in the comments below if this was unclear or you needed me to go into more details. I do want to cover how to build, do spell wrapping with multicast wands, like spellcast. Some wands will have like a spellcast of 3 or 4 or something, and then spell wrapping with a wand that already has a spellcast of 2 or 3 gets really confusing. So I wanted to lay a foundation here and see. I go off of your guys' comments if I feel like I need to go into more detail later. So if you guys leave feedback, let me know if this was unclear or if you have something specific you want to see about this build. But yeah, there you go. Deuces, you guys. How's it going, YouTube? Today we are going to discuss spell wrapping with multicast wands, and this is something that has been requested quite a bit, both by the YouTube community. I've seen a lot of you guys leave comments on it, and in my live stream as well. So today's explanation will be hard to understand if